uniting our people, uniting our nation. And I ask every American to join me in this cause.
Right now on ABC 10 News at 4 o'clock, calls for unity from the newly sworn-in President Biden. His work already beginning the executive orders he just signed. Plus, witnessing this historic day, the on-the-ground perspective in Washington, D.C. And 2 fires break out in Campo and Carlsbad. We're tracking the fire weather conditions.
ABC 10 News starts now with breaking news.
First, about 2 hours ago, a brush fire broke out in Carlsbad, forcing evacuations. Sky 10 captured the smoke near Park and Sunny Hill Drives. This is a look at the neighborhood east of the 5 near the Agua Hedionda Lagoon. That's where we find ABC 10 News reporter Mary McKenzie with the situation right now. Mary?
Yeah, Kim, we are here on Park. You can see they are in the mop-up phase as of right now. It looks like they've gotten a good handle on the forward spread of this fire. You can see crews up on the hillside here. They have Hillside Drive up above them, and that sort of Sunny Hill Drive area that you referenced up on top of the hill, and then all along Park Drive. These homes have all been evacuated. There were some concerns with some of the people here making sure that they could get out, as this started up very quickly just a couple of hours ago and quickly became a 2-alarm fire here, but they do have it under control. It looks like for the most part there are hot spots that of course you can now see on the hillside here, and a number of crews that are still putting water on those hot spots. We did see what we understand will be the last water drop that they're anticipating that they will need out here. That was just maybe 5 or 10 minutes ago. I've talked to a couple of neighbors who were evacuated all along Park Drive, but fortunately it looks as though they've contained it just to this hillside. They were concerned there were a number of trees that were getting hit with some of the sparks as the winds were pushing offshore. There are trees on both sides, but this is this hillside area here with homes both above and below that they were concerned about. I know we did have that Sky 10 footage from earlier this afternoon when it was a bit more out of control. So it did get about 1.5 acres here. But once again, the good news is it looks like they are in the mop-up phase for the most part, just keeping an eye on the hot spots here. We're going to continue to talk to people here, kind of see how long they've been out and if they've heard any word. We don't know yet if there's been additional word about getting them back into their homes, but there are homes all along this street that we know right now those folks are out for the time being. That's the situation here. Reporting live in Carlsbad, Mary McKenzie, ABC 10 News.
A lot of homeowners affected there. Thank you, Mary. We'll keep an eye on that and get back to you with any breaking details. Let's go to ABC 10 News meteorologist Leah Pizzetti. She is tracking the windy conditions which really whipped this fire around today. Leah?
Right, Kim. Yeah, and we've been talking about these winds for a couple of days now. We knew today would be a windy day, and we saw it. The good news is, though, winds are going to be calming down now for the next couple of hours. Actually, I'm watching them start to decline already. Wind speeds right now, you can see in Carlsbad at about 15 miles per hour. Those are our sustained winds. Gusts could get up to 20 miles per hour, but they should be calming down through the next couple of hours. Humidity, also good news. It's not too low. 34% in Carlsbad, not bad right now. So that's another concern that we typically watch when we see these fires break out. But like I said, high wind warning in place until 6 p.m. So about 2 more hours now along our coast. As we move inland, we're going to still see gusty winds through tonight. So 10 p.m. is when this high wind warning expires. So this is a story we've been talking about for a couple of days now. The winds should be calming down. We're going to be shifting our focus now to rain that is heading our way in the next couple of days. We're definitely going to see some rain picking up, hopefully mitigating that fire risk. I'll break all that down for you coming up in just a bit.
That's some good news there. Thank you, Leah. And firefighters quickly put out flames that erupted just feet from homes in Spring Valley. The Campo fire reached about 15 acres. ABC 10 News reporter Jennifer De La Cruz is there live. And Jen, many residents who have lived through this before just left their homes.
Yeah, Kimberly, a lot of people just came out, got their stuff, and got out of their homes. Fortunately, we didn't see any structures burn. We were in between Spring Valley and Rancho San Diego, and a lot of fire crews are still out here with their hoses. No flames at this point, but they are just trying to make sure the ground here is nice and saturated because these winds incredibly strong throughout the afternoon, and they're still pretty strong right now. They do not want any of this to flare up, but time was of the essence for these firefighters. The fire line stopped just a few feet from the back of some of these homes. The Campo fire started just before 1 o'clock this afternoon. Flames breaking out on a dry hillside just south of where the 94 meets Campo Road between Spring Valley and Rancho San Diego. Gusty winds spreading embers to the top of palm trees as thick smoke blanketed the horizon. 20 engines, 2 helicopters, and 4 air tankers were called to respond. No mandatory evacuations were ordered, but some neighbors rushed out of their homes as the fire continued to spread. CAL FIRE says although the winds were incredibly strong, they were not high enough to ground their aircraft. Bill Nepper has lived in this neighborhood for 35 years. He says Santa Ana winds sweep through this area with a vengeance, and he knew this would happen eventually. He stood outside his home watching firefighters work to put those flames out quickly.
They were right on top of it, right on top of it. Couldn't have done a better job. I'm going to be awake all night. I'm sure the firefighters will be out here also, but I'll be awake all night with the hose ready.
And back out here live once again, you can see that whole burn area burned about 15 acres, but fortunately firefighters were able to get a handle on this quickly. Still very windy out here. You can see them with the hoses once again trying to saturate the land. They tell me they're going to be out here for several more hours making sure nothing else flares up. Reporting live from the Campo fire in Rancho San Diego, Jennifer Dela Cruz, ABC 10 News.
Yeah, Jennifer, so fortunate they could get those helos up to make those airdrops. Thank you for that live update. And keep track of the changing weather conditions in your area anytime with our ABC 10 News mobile app.
I will be a president for all Americans. All Americans.
A new American administration. Joe Biden was sworn in as the 46th president of the United States, and Kamala Harris makes history as the first female vice president. The new administration calling for unity as they inherit a number of major challenges. And right now, this is a live look. Nope, we didn't get that live look. Right now, though, we do know that in the press room, they are getting ready for their first press conference. So we are watching that. In the meantime, here's Karen Kaifa with today's events.
The world has been watching Washington today, and as President Joe Biden said in his inaugural address, democracy has prevailed. The United States has new leadership, but faces the same challenges, some of the gravest in its history.
This is America's day.
After nearly 50 years of service in Washington and 3 bids for the presidency, Joe Biden is finally being sworn into the highest office in the land.
I, Joseph Robinette Biden Jr., do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States.
Office of President of the United States.
Along with his Vice President Kamala Harris, who is making history as the first female, first Black, and first South Asian to hold that position.
I, Kamala Devi Harris, do solemnly swear
that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office on which I am about to enter.
3 former presidents, including the man Biden stood beside for 8 years in the White House, and 2 former vice presidents among the extremely limited, socially distanced audience. A bittersweet scene for a man who has spent much of his political career working towards this moment. Biden setting the tone for his new administration.
And my first act as president, I'd like to ask you to join me in a moment of silent prayer. Remember all of those who we lost in this past year to the pandemic.
Karen Kaifa reporting. President Biden wasted no time getting to work. He has already signed several executive orders, many of them undue executive orders by President Trump. Among his first orders, a mask mandate on federal property. He also reversed President Trump's withdrawal from the World Health Organization. He rejoined the Paris Climate Agreement, removed the travel ban from majority Muslim countries, and ended the national emergency declaration that allowed military money to build the border wall. And former President Trump departed the White House on Marine One this morning. He gave a farewell speech at Joint Base Andrews before leaving for Florida. He also hinted that he won't be disappearing entirely from public life.
I wish the new administration great luck and great success. I think they'll have great success. Just a goodbye. We love you. We will be back in some form.
A senior U.S. official says that before leaving office, Trump also signed a memorandum extending Secret Service protection by 6 months for all of his children. Joining us now live is local Congressman Scott Peters. It's been a big day, an incredible and historic day. Thank you for joining us.
Well, pleased to join you, Kimberly. Thank you for having me.
Well, let's start with President Biden's plea for unity today. How doable in a divided Congress?
Well, I hope it's doable. I think it's essential. Frankly, big problems can't be solved by one political party, and the great thing about President Biden is that he's bipartisan by orientation, and I think he wants to work with people across the aisle. That's been his history, and I think it will be a good example for all of us.
We've touched on some of the executive orders that he's already signed today on COVID-19, health care in underserved communities, and rejoining the Paris Climate Accord, among others. But what are the key priorities in this administration?
The first thing that we have to do is deal with this pandemic. Things as simple as providing state and local governments resources so that they can deploy the vaccines. A national strategy, I think, makes sense. And I think when we do that we will be able to better address the economic fallout from this pandemic. Essentially, our economy is in a medically induced coma. And I think that's got to be our priority, make sure that people get back to being secure about their jobs and about their futures. And I think Vice President Biden is well poised to do that. President Biden, sorry. It's hard to get out of the habit, right?
Right. It's only a few hours. But, the other thing that kind of shook the nation, January 6th, the U.S. Capitol, we all saw and watched what happened at the U.S. Capitol. How has that changed things? And people are really asking, in some way, did that bring both sides of a very divided Congress together and find ways to really realize that there is some common ground we can move forward?
Well, first of all, it made everyone very skittish today. I think it was very, people were very concerned coming in that there was a real security threat. It was unbelievable to all of us that the U.S. Capitol, which is one of the top terrorist targets in the whole world, would have been breached by a mob of civilians. So I think we shouldn't forget that. But I would say, yeah, I think people are really concerned about the future of the country. I think that that President Biden has highlighted the importance of us working together, not making enemies of each other, but understanding that we can disagree with each other and still be fellow citizens. And I think it couldn't be more important at this time, and could be more welcome as far as I'm concerned, and certainly looking forward to working with the Biden administration and with my Republican colleagues to solve problems, which is what I think all of our constituents expect us to do.